Let's welcome to the show a member of the GOP Doctors Caucus and former Iraq combat surgeon. He is Congressman Brad Wenstrup. Congressman, it's always great to have you on. Okay, Australian media reporting that China in the summer of 2019 doubled its spending on PCR tests used to detect COVID-19. The summer 2019, that's far sooner than the official outbreak date of December. If we had known sooner, would more lives have been saved?
Well, let's put it this way and put things in perspective. The PCR test is a very good test for detecting pathogens, not just COVID-19. That's one thing. But you start to put pieces of the puzzle together. And what we may have learned is this was foreshadowing, if you will. You know, did they order these tests because they anticipated something? Was it for preparedness, just in case? Or were they really worried? Well, you can go back to January of 19, and Dr. Shi Zhengli, who is really the leading virologist on these coronaviruses and bat viruses, they call her the Bat Lady, and she worked at the Wuhan lab. And in January of 19, she and a Dr. Ping came out and said, the next outbreak of a coronavirus is likely to come from China. So this is January of 19. She also wrote something in August of 19, talking about how she found another coronavirus from some of the bats that she studied in Singapore. So she was in caves for 3 years studying these bats and these coronaviruses. So she knew darn well that they had an abundance of coronaviruses in that lab. Maybe that's what led her to do this. But also keep in mind, in 2015, she with American Ralph Barrick wrote an article about how they were working on changing viruses to essentially make them more infectious. Some of it call it a chimera, and others call it gain-of-function research. So this stuff was going on all along.
That's right.
So it seems to me they had the warnings because they knew what they were doing.
You know, former DNI Ratcliffe is telling Newsweek, is saying where there's a lot of smoke, there's a lot of fire. The cybersecurity pro, Internet 2.0, Australian media is reporting this, that basically they found, quote, notable, significant, and abnormal 2019 purchases of PCR equipment by the People's Liberation Army Hospital, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and the Wuhan University of Science and Technology, also Hubei Province CDC. Yes, we don't know if it was used for a swine flu outbreak or what it was used for. You're right about PCR tests. But when you hear the names of those outfits, those organizations buying the PCR tests, that's who was doing the coronavirus research and the gain-of-function research. That's who was studying it. Your final word.
Yeah, no, I think you hit it. And as Ratcliffe said, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's all areas of smoke. We could probably do another half hour on that, Liz, that I can take you right up to why I believe that this outbreak came from a lab. Now, whether it was accidental or not, they certainly tried to cover it up afterwards and have been completely non-compliant with us trying to get to the bottom of where the COVID-19 virus came from.
Yeah, I mean, this is good. Well, we're probably never going to know. But, you know, when you start putting it together, as you have, Congressman, it sure looks like, you know, the pandemic started in of course in China, but how it started, right, and when it started, and China's cover-up, you know, potentially killing a lot of people worldwide. That's what people want China to step up about. All right, Congressman Brad Wenstrup, thank you so much. It's really good to see you. Up next.